Sad Fateh, you need to fix your line weights. The grass is lower, lighter, the paving is lighter, the door is also lighter, the Sur al-Kubra is lighter. Then, how can we fix those? What's the easy way to do it, or one of the ways? Halftone is an option, but I don't like halftone. شنو مشكلة halftone when you print it? في أحد عنده الحين طابع halftone? Like your elevation or any شو اسمه? Go to that drawing and describe the halftone to me. What does it look like? It becomes pixelated. شوفوا النقط. Okay? If you actually, in this option, if you right click على, I selected all the walls. Right click. Override graphics in view by element. By default, projection lines مسكر. So that's actually the main one. We changed شو الفرق بين projection lines and surface patterns و cut patterns.
واحد فوق واحد تحت. When you cut it, it's a cut line. نشوفها داخل cut.
Okay.
Surface اللي فوق.
So cut pattern, خلينا نفترض الحين أنا قصيت الأرض topo solid مثلا. If I want to make, and we will do that, the section, I want to make the topo solid pattern lighter. This is where you change it. Cut pattern, the pattern, color, not by material, I make it light gray مثلا. 120 or 180, 180, 180. That's if I'm looking at a pattern that I'm cutting that I want to make lighter or darker. So I'm going to أتكلم عن cross hatch مع ال CMU أو ال AAC or topo solid, whatever it is. Because we're not cutting this wall, so I ignore the cut lines. What's a surface pattern? Where does that apply? Anything you see in elevation. So يعني بالبلان إذا أنا قاعد طالع مثلا الأرضية, that's a surface pattern. Anything you see as a surface, الخطوط as a surface, which is the hatches that are appearing. Okay? هني بالقطوة, they're neither the cut lines nor the surface patterns. So what's left? Projection lines. Remember from communication 1, we do projection lines, and then we're looking at something, we're projecting those edges. So any edge of a model is a projection line. So that's where you change it. أنا الحين حاطة مثلا 120, 120, 120. هني. Projection lines, click here. Go to color, click on that, and change this to grayscale. أنا الحين حاط 120 and I think it's fine. You can make it lighter, darker, على حسب when you print. This 120 I think is already a good color for this option. And that way those walls they صاروا light gray. These lines I use thin lines gray for the pattern اللي برا. نفس الشيء حق I think this I actually manually changed. That's the floor تذكرون we did the 2 steps. You'll notice the hatch as well as lighter, and you will have to edit the hatch, the edges. By default, when you add the stone, most likely this is what you have. راح تلاقون بعض الأطواف مختفية الedges مالتها. So go back, check your site plans, make sure they're actually modified and fixed بهالطريقة, so that you push your pattern back as needed عشان الخطوط تبين. You notice something else here? You see this line? That's the property line. It wasn't there before. So again, to show where my property line is, get a simmer, and I'm saying bring to front. It's like a detail line, and it's on top of the wall, baybayin, clearly where my edge of the property is. And then, last thing before we move to the next one, you notice line weights here. I don't have to manually change things in every drawing. مثلا, when I talk about floor patterns, it's a good practice to change the material itself. So go to مثلا edit type to find edit structure. Go to the finish. So مثلا ceramic tile. بغير هني is surface pattern. So again, those are like hatch patterns of the tiles, bricks, stone. foreground, not background, we change the color. So here I change the color to a light 180 180 180. الحين بكل الرسمات لما يصير عندي ceramic tile حيبين خفيف. Check your sections. Maybe your ceramic tile بالحمام is too dark. This would have fixed it. You change it here, it will fix it everywhere else. If it's the same material. Okay, so that fixes the issue of the material, and I think this is a site plan, it's a small scale. إذا ما غيرته, it's going to be very dark flooring بالplan. And you'll notice here, this is lighter. What's a good way to make this lighter? A half tone. ما اسمع. Depth, you could apply it to the elevations, it doesn't apply to plans. حاجة هذا.
The color that we just did?
Yeah, you do the same thing, you select those. You can select this as well. Right click, override graphics and view by element. And we're changing both projection lines. You could change surface values, and actually I didn't need to. So projection lines, color, and this is 128, 128, 128. It's enough to push the balcony far that it reads هذا عالي وهذا واطي. Okay?
ونغير دكتور الباكراوند بعد؟
ما في داعي. Background default فاتح.
حبيبي.
Background by material, ما just
Wait, 128 اللي didn't edit from the
الحين I selected those, the parapet مع الفurniture مع الفloor, right click, override graphics and view by element, projection lines اللي كان نغيرهم because that's the edges of the parapet, color, click on the color, and I did 128, 128, 128. You could do 120, and you can play around with it, but generally that was by default on the first color and it was fine. That's this gray here. If you click on this gray, I think, yeah, this gray by default is 128, 128, 128.
Yeah.
So if you find it too dark, make it lighter, you can make it darker, so just trial and error. And this pushes this back. So actually let me do this. If this says okay. By default, this is what you see. By default, you see how there's no really much of a difference between this and this. That's why I had to fix it, to make this lighter, so that it can show as pushed back. Just last couple of things to note, make sure all your dimensions are in meters. I know we went back and forth, but some of you may have used millimeters in some of them. If you see 0 بروحها بدون .00, that means it's millimeters. 0.00, that's the meter with 2 decimals. لازم نحط صفر على السايد واك برا عند المدخل. And before we enter, that's 0.3. بعدين the roof with balcony. Those are must-have FFL spot elevations. Any questions about site plans before we move to floor plans?
You said something about property line.
Yeah, you need to draw the property line and make it show. That's property line. That's the detail line as a property line type. If it's not showing, bring to front. And it will show up on top of the wall. It should show up already on top.
property line ده مدى
اي نفس ما كان عندنا قبل من كل النقط السوداء هذه. That's our property line. Actually, the center of النقط السوداء, and that's an issue which I'm not willing to deal with right now, لأن parapet مالنا stone cap طالع برا. يشوفون السنتر مال السيركل وين. وانا راسم خط هني. I'm just willing to ignore that and it's a headache I don't want to get into.
walkway, is it master region?
The walkway?
The walkway itself.
هذا it's
Yes.
detail lines.
So it's not a master region.
This region does not go over the floor. I did like carve this.
Yeah, this is the boundary.
The boundary, Matsui boundary of the whole plot is grass. The boundary wraps around the building, is like you see here, and wraps around the entry.
Because the trees were not showing up because
Well,
of the
the
master
trees
driveway.
are carved out of the. So when I draw that, when you edit boundary, تلاقون يمكن الأشياء نسوي دائرة to carve out the hatch. It just looks neater. Like you can see the trees more clearly, other than the grass going up.
Can you just mask
Can we
it?
mask? What?
To shear.
It's either mask. Oh, this. If you mask it, could cover the trees themselves. I think that's the issue. Unless you do bring to front, maybe that could work too. There might be more than one way to do it. Any other questions about site plan before we move to ground one?
نخفف الطال مالها.
The grass, yeah, should be lighter.
ويكون نغير اللون بس.
To make it lighter, yeah. I
Yeah,
think this was done also override. Yeah, it's surface patterned, and then this is a hatch. So surface pattern, I'm gonna wait at 180, 180, 180. This is sand. Sand drafting, that's the hatch. Anything else about site plan? Okay, ground floor. ونطلع هون نختلف هنا.
furniture is lighter.
The furniture is lighter and
The floor pattern.
the flooring and the furniture are lighter. Okay? But hey, you saw as we were going week by week, we're adding more information. The more information, the busier it gets, the harder it is to read. So we need to make things lighter. So here I changed the furniture to be lighter. The flooring, I changed the material. Not here override. I didn't do override. So wait, edit type. And here I went to the material properties. So let's look at gravity. The surface pattern, I changed it from here. So this applies to any time I'm using travertine stone pattern. It's light gray, 180, 180, 180 in all of my drawings. Okay? 180, 180, 180. راح تلاحظون هني we added those stairs when we did the elevations, so we need to add them here with dimensions with 0, 300, ما في داعي 150. And you'll notice the pattern of the stairs, how they are paved, and I use thin lines gray. I want you to check in your Revit file. Does everybody have those line types? Thin lines gray, hidden lines gray,
Yes.
hidden short 2.
Not all of them, but some of them.
And they should be in the last file. At least hidden lines. Oh, hidden short 2 should be coming from the last file I gave you. The LED strip light on the ceiling. That's hidden short 2. زين احنا تكلمنا عن how to create a new line pattern, line style. بس فاطمة? Everyone else know? زين how do we create a new, if we want to create a new line type, let's say hidden lines gray. I want to make it, I don't have it. You go to manage, additional settings. There are multiple things we can manage in here. بس في ثلاثة that are directly related to lines. أول واحد is line styles. So that's like the hidden lines gray, insulation membrane. كل اللي تشوفونه بلستة detail lines, that goes under line styles. And then a line weight, if you want to add a new line weight, that's where it's added here. And then a line patterns. فمثلا a long dash with a very short gap. You can customize how big the dash and the gap is from line patterns. So what we're going to do now is line styles. So again, additional settings, line styles. Add this, the plus. شوفون under lines, all the different types of lines here. اللي عندهم these brackets, those are already from Revit. Anything without brackets, those are added manually by someone. Okay? So to make a new line, let's say thin lines gray, you click on modify subcategories, you write new, and write thin lines. Gray, up number 2, because I already have one. You have 3 options to change. You can change the line weight if you want it to be a light or a dark, heavy line. You can change here the line color. مثلا نقدر نقول we start with this gray, that's 128, or you want something lighter. مثلا 180, 180, 180. Then we have here if we want it solid or hidden. So this is the solid line. If you want it dashed, you can do hidden. These are all the line types. Let's say you want to create a new line pattern. That's where you change it. From the second option, you can click on it. If you want to create a new line, a long dash, whatever, it will show up here once you bring it in. So that's how to create it best, and you hit OK. If I want to select this line, I can change it thin lines gray to thin lines gray too. Okay? Thin lines gray is solid.
Gray ولا green?
Gray too, عشان I already have gray. Into this gray. We will need hidden lines gray. If you don't have it, you can add it, but again, I think it's in one of the files you can bring it over. آخر file أعطيتكم إياه, you can transfer over line types. Not everything, because that might mess up some stuff. Try to bring over line styles from that last file أعطيتكم إياه. You'll find thin lines gray, hidden short too. Okay, so make sure to add this platform. Always check your masks under every tag. Callouts, لا يصير خط سيدة. Chili. Always avoid straight lines. I'm breaking them as 45 degrees, and there's a mask behind it, always. Okay? هذا mask. The counter is a mask. I cut out the sink, and I cut out shoulder, and I used pick lines عشان ما يصير double lines. Some of you drew additional lines, or you didn't pick the lines. When you don't pick, you might do a double line فيصير very heavy. Check your comments إذا في note على your sinks or your shoulder. You can go back, create a gap. This is basically a double boundary. And now this is the outer boundary model patch, model mask. And this is another boundary inside of it, which means it will cut it out like a donut. It will remove that from the mask.
What's the line weight of the
Thin lines.
the line weight of the furniture?
Furniture. Projection lines, it's by category, I did it. Overwrite graphics and new by category. So all the furniture is reduced to 150, 150, 150. And then I made it a bit darker than the paving. The paving was maybe 180, 50. So furniture شوي أثقل. It's a bit higher and it's a bit more important than the paving. That
Counter is not
counter best thin lines black. It's not lighter, it's just thin lines. the mask itself, the masking region, حطيتها thin lines بدل invisible بعدين نرسم فوقها هو نفسه. It's a masking region and it's the border. Any questions about ground floor?
For the, I wanted to ask this before, but is there like, can we can we lock some parts of the walls? For example, if I work in the ground floor and I moved a wall, it will move in the section and then the dimensions will change. So I want to lock them to prevent this from happening.
You could. You can lock, but the issue with locking sometimes has to do with limiting your model, so that if you change something else, you will have a lot of restraints.
And can you also lock the annotation lines and everything else that you do, and can you group them?
The annotation lines, I'm not sure about that, but in walls and other elements, you can align them to some things like the grids. So when you do align, so let's say you have a line, you select مثلا this grid, and then you go to the center of the wall. Then you have this lock. When you click on the lock, it usually comes with align. If you align an element to something, then it gives you this option. If you lock it, when you move that element, it will move together. They will move together, both of them. So that's one way. That's one way to do it. But it will not move away from that grid.
Even the furniture, can we do that?
Furniture, you can align it to something, I think, because I'm not sure what exactly is the best thing to align it to right now. Then usually you have to align some element to the furniture. And let's say مثلا I will align the center of this to this, but then I lock it. So maybe you can create some other system to align things to and then hide that system. That might work. Okay, any other questions about ground floor?
I have two questions. The first question is, if we have two doors, do we apply the platform on all two?
Double door?
No, like this platform, the up. So if I have three doors on the ground floor, do I apply the platform on all three doors?
Yeah, because all of them, unless with this one,
The storage.
unless the storage is lower, or storage is, let's say, one step higher than two. يعني الفكرة إن الحين برا صفر وهذا 300 صح؟
Yeah.
How am I going to get in that other door from the ground to the 300?
Yeah.
Unless there's a change in level. With storage, this could be a different level hypothetically, but it's not necessarily تحط platform هني عند storage.
Okay.
Let's say الأرض is only 150 above. Now this here is independent from everything else. It doesn't have to be the نفس الصفة. Okay? So I'm not getting into that detail. If you have a secondary entrance, it needs to have a step in front. It doesn't have to be this big. If it's, let's say, a service entrance, it could be عرضة بس 120. مو لازم that like we did in the main entry.
Just like a small, it's not like.
Yeah, 120 مثلا
Yeah,
عرض and 2 steps كذي.
Yeah.
A simple way to get in.
Okay. And second question is, whenever I'm trying to select the furniture, the line rate's not going down, either by elements or category.
You're changing. Okay. So you're in the ground floor view.
Yeah.
Select the furniture, right click, override graphics and view by category.
Yeah.
Projection lines, أول واحد, where it says color. What does it say, Hank?
Color.
Yeah, and next to it, what's the color? By.
Sorry.
Hmm?
And then I'm gonna change it to, like, for example, 160. And
Change
then-
it to 150, 150, 150.
Yeah, it's still the same color.
You're changing projection lines. So, I'll take a look at it after.
Okay, I'll try half tone. Maybe. Okay, half tone works. But the color doesn't work.
Again, you're changing projection, not surface.
Yes.
With this color you did it light gray
Yes.
and it looks still black. And if you select the element by itself, the furniture, right click, by element, and you change the pattern, sorry, the projection line color,
Yeah. Same thing.
and my layer. That's weird. I'll take a look after I go through the rest. Any other question on ground floor? Okay, so first floor, you'll notice the same things. Furniture is lighter. This here, مثلا, this did not apply. This needs to be lighter. Okay, because it doesn't make sense that the carpet bruha is heavier than the flooring, so. Some of you are missing the stone cap mal balcony parapet wall. Change it to the same type as the rooftop parapet. عشان يبين هذا الحجر هني. Some of you have a regular wall like we did أول semester. This needs to change. And do not align this with this line. Okay? Otherwise that will push the wall back. And then this stone is popping out of the wall. As it should. عشان ما يروح يطيح من برا. So do not align it, otherwise it will cause an issue when you look at it in elevation and section. Floor drains. Always check locations of your floor drains, equal distances from the edge of the wall, and slopes pointing towards the drain. Okay? So double check that. See here that the slope is overlapping this ladder, so clear it out. زين. Bathrooms. A few things. Shower. It needs to be minimum قلنا 950. 900 minimum to 950. Okay, we have a big bathroom, so there's no reason it should be less than that. الحين أنا حاط FFL هني. This is flat. حاط FFL هني ليش؟ لأن you enter the shower from this side. Do not put the FFL solve the drain. What's the level in need? The FFL model drain.
-1%.
Exactly. There's 1% difference عشان ما يقدر يروح to the drain. فما راح أحط level هناك. I just say 1% and it gets there and I know that it's lower. And the slope is towards the drain. Okay, the bathroom, the shower is very clear that the drain is here and the slope is there. And this is the flat نفسه 4200, 4200. الحين here there's a few options with the toilet and the floor drain. تكلمنا عنهم شوية before. This is one option. هو قبل كان هنا. صح؟ How can I make this slope work if the drain is where it was before? They and هذا needs to go back to straight, صح? Okay, let's get another one. Okay, so this needs to go straight to there. What about the water here? How can I get water from here to there?
Rotate the other one.
What's wrong with this? It's gonna collect water here, صح? So how can I get the water from here to there? Multiple slopes. So rotate the water here to go this way. عشان ما يتيمم. And then I have another slope here. الماء راح ينزل كذي وبعدين الماء قاعد يروح كذي. Okay? This is going that way, so that's going around the toilet. So that's one way, or leaving it in the corner as I did, that's another option in here. When they put the tiles here, we don't have to add it. This is sloping this way. To get the water from here, and so on, there's a spray here. So these tiles will probably be sloping down, عشان بعدين collects with the rest of the slope there. So please get your slopes right. Again, try to look at your drawings today. If we don't have time, I can look at them again, inshallah, on Monday. Get your slopes right so you don't lose points. Again, align your labels. If you see them kind of lined up, make sure to draw a detailed line and align them. And then a level, anytime there's a change in level, so the landing and the mid landing, add here the label for this wall. Any questions for the first floor? Everything's clear?
Shouldn't type in, like you're writing the text,
شنو؟
بس التكست.
ايه موجود عندكم حاطه in the last example it's there.
For my balcony, the spot elevation is still 4,200.
Okay, let's take a look at also optic class. That probably has to do with the height of your floor here. If you check your floor, it should say first floor minus 150.
I've offset minus 150.
A. First floor, that's the level. Height offset minus 150, that's what it should say. Okay, everything's clear, first floor?
Do I unjoin the elements?
Sure. But then you have to check your elevations, you might have to join other things together. Roof level, do you notice any changes in the roof level? الأرضية أفتح because we changed the ceramic tiles both in the site plan, which applies here, so the surface pattern on the ceramic tile needs to be lighter. Neither, that you change the material itself. When you edit the material, when you go to the material browser, so whether we're doing ceramic or travertine, هذا بالsurface pattern. You notice anything else that's different? The balcony is lighter. Okay, نفس ما سوينا بالsite plan, you do it here. To make this lighter so it can pop إن في فرق بالارتفاع. Floor drains. بعد, especially بعد ما ضفنا the stone cap, some of you might see your floor drains something like this. So you might see that there is an overlap with your floor drain and the edge. So the floor drain and the edge are supposed to be equal distance from the edges. From the edges, equal distance. And slopes have to be pointing towards them. And the location of those slopes need to be centered. فلما يكون عندنا هني detail line أشوف الcenter وينه ما يكون one of the slopes wide قريب وبعدين هذا بعيد. Place them, you can mirror and make sure that it's from the center, they're sloping one here and one there. Okay? So two things, we're checking how far أول شيء make sure it's not overlapped and equal distance from the edges. Check the line weights مالت flooring and here. Any questions about roof levels?
I have 2 questions.
Yes.
First question is, weren't we supposed to add like a ventilation for the kitchen on the roof?
Hey, for them, fine.
And then for ours, aren't the, for all the whole project, is there like a set line weight for all the furniture and all the roofs? So like we don't change the color for each one differently?
Ideally, yes, but not necessarily. Moment each drawing can redo it.
Oh.
It doesn't have to be exactly the same. That's ideally, some things could get streamlined where خلاص, you know always your furniture is مثلا 180, and that usually works with your style of drawings generally. So that could be even an object style, not a visibility graphics thing. When you change an object style, that applies everywhere. Doesn't apply by view. If you go to VG,
The cat is well.
and he مكتوب object styles. Okay. So here مثلا it says furniture. You can change it here. Color مثلا to be, you can change the color from here, and then it can apply to all the drawings, whether it's in, so you can try that. Okay, this is not view specific, this is project specific. Any questions, group? Okay, next, elevations. Elevations, there's a couple of things. Some of you still didn't really get the line weights right. So to get the line weights with the depth right, there's a couple of things we can do. Okay. أول شيء عندنا, this outline is added manually, which is a medium line. So it's neither thin nor wide lines. It's wide, that's too dark. Thin, my baby. So this is a manually drawn outline, which is medium lines. That makes the drawing really pop. See if you delete it. حتى مع depth والأشياء هذه, it disappears. So this makes a very big difference where you do the outline when you have front and back. Okay?
If the medium line doesn't pop back, do I make it bigger?
لا, you have to pick something else, and I'll talk about that. So that's the first step, is to do the medium line outline, both here and in the other elevation. In the other elevation, it's just a simple outline, but you still draw the medium line around. Sometimes it's already medium, but it's accent to draw it all around. So that's the first step. The second step, make sure your brick pattern or stone is set in the material browser as lighter gray. Okay? طبعا عندك كل رسمة. فهني, you go to edit type, you'll notice that bricks. The surface pattern foreground is 180, 180, 180. This way it pushes all the bricks to be light. فthat'll make already a difference. Maybe the medium will pop out. It's not competing with the bricks. If you change the brick pattern to 180, 180.
You want them lighter?
That's how light. Check if it's 180 or not. That's the first step. Another thing you can do is when you're in the view, check your under visibility graphics, you'll find graphic display options. Graphic display options, edit. And then depth queuing. Okay, I already have that in a post as they took me out Teams how to do it. So again, I'm in the elevation. It doesn't work in all these views. This does not work in the floor plans, for example. So I'm in the elevation. I go to my visibility graphics, تحت في graphic display options. Edit. Go to depth queuing. And click on show depth. By default, it's unchecked. The default setting, I think, is already this 100 with 0 here, with 0. Okay, so if I remove the depth, you see how this is dark? مقفى wide بين هذا وهذا.
Yeah.
If I add the depth, you see how much lighter this then looks. It makes it pop, especially the projection lines. Another way is doing it manually. You select the walls and then override the سوينا بالsite plan. That's one way where it just automatically does it for anything that's behind. You may have to override the stairs, the ladder. Okay? Note the balcony. It's better to draw, أنا كنت بالأول submission حاطة all the way there, but it's better to bring it up to the wall edge, so we know that this is the extent of the balcony. Note the dashed line here to know where the edges of the door are. This sliding arrow, so we know how we're opening the door. Check your line types, مع السوينج, مع windows and doors. They need to be dashed with gaps, actual gaps between them. Sometimes they're hidden lines, بس في خط مكمل. You need to edit that.
هذا manual.
هذا من object styles. في object styles وفي يعني you can do it both ways. And here if you write swing, هني manually مسوي. Under VG, Windows, elevation swing, I change the line to hidden. I think there's a way to do it here as well. I think it could be changed object styles as well. I haven't played with it, but this option that you see here is VG manually done. So you could do it either or, I think. Because I know VG works. Please check your top of wall. I will show you the spelling. It's TOW, not TWO. Let the arrow touch the line. Do not leave a gap. وايد مرات قاعد أشوف كذي gap طاير بالهواء الارrow. Make it touch. No gaps.
دكتور
Yes.
حق الانيميشن سوينج نخليه داش.
Hidden. And then one last thing, you notice because of the way the design of the elevator, the height and the footing and the placement of footings مرة قدام مرة ورا, في confusion. Even with this, it's a bit confusing. وين الfooting, what's front, what's back. So we want to fix that. حتى الآن أعطيتكم an example is not the best thing. والحين راح نعدله. What's the best solution for that? So I can change line color and line weight. Okay. أول شيء لازم أعرف what's in front of what. اللي قدام will be the one that has precedence. واللي ورا will not overlap the footing اللي قدام وبخليه أخف. اللي ورا بيصير أخف. So in this example مثلا شنو اللي قدام وشنو اللي ورا؟
الفوتنج العالي قدام
تشوفون الاليفيتر هني مو مكمل. Okay. هذا لأن الفوتنج العادي is the one that's in front of the other one. So you select all of your elevator footings in this case, which is this one as well. Change the line to thin line gray. Hidden gray. Hidden lines gray. شوفوا الفرق؟ Now I can see that the footing هو واضح. The elevator is not overlapping. Now another issue sometimes is that this continues, I'll show it to you in the other one. Okay? So this already fixes this view and this is a better way to show your footings. Now let's look at the other example. And here it gets muddy as well. Okay? Here شنو قدام شنو؟ The elevator قدام, the regular footing. Let me hide these for now, so hide in view. Already it looks better, صح? So now I know that my levels were interfering, so I need to fix that, but I'll get back to that. الحين أبي أعطي precedence for my elevator footing, so I select everything else. لازم أعدل الارتفاع, change it to hidden lines gray. شوف شلون الحين صار ورا. Okay, now let me bring back so when I bring them back, they're interfering. Okay? So the solution for that, I need to make more space for these, push them برا and أوقفهم قبل الفوت. Okay? When I change levels, the first thing I look at is this. Does it say 2D or 3D? If it says 3D, change them to 2D. Otherwise, you're changing the grid, the entire model in all the other views. So this says 2D, then you can click and drag it out. Here, again, it says 2D. Make sure, then sometimes, by the way, when you change it 2D, that's not 2D on both sides. You have to change it 2D on one side and change it 2D on the other side as well. Otherwise, when you drag the other side without changing it, you're changing the 3D grid. It's a bit tricky. But make sure it says 2D here as well. You click and drag. And رجعت الخطوط ورا. This I can get rid of or put it on the other side. It's already kind of here. So this already looks much clearer than the first option. Okay? Add then the line type to be lighter. ورجعنا these lines back. Shift and dimension. Okay? Any questions? Here, the door you're using could be the commercial door. This is a commercial door. If you look at it on the other side or your door is flipped, راح تلاقون البار نفس مال emergency exit. Okay? في أحد عنده هذا in one of your drawings يتعلم عليه? Check your doors. If you have a bar going across it or not. If you do, there are two things you can do. Either change the door or just put a mask around the bar. Okay? And then you can just draw a rectangle مثلا for just a very simple rectangle هي المسكة. خلصنا. Okay? Or change the door. المهم إنه ما يصير عندنا a commercial push door. It's a residential building. Again, check your line types, especially if you change it in one view as visibility graphics. Maybe you forgot to change it in the other view. And your tags.
Changing it in visibility graphics only changes it in one view, not everything.
Visibility graphics always changes that one view. Object styles changes in all of them, and when you change the material properties, it changes in all of them. Because visibility graphics is only that view. زين أنا الحين ما كملت على الفكرة هذه. شوفوا الحين هذا دش برا. That was one of the issues لأن this was centered. So I have to then move my elevation so that it comes inside. وبعدين I want to check this, so I usually do this. Take it to my other drawing, align to same place. So now they're aligned in the same spot. Okay, so I made a little bit more space here, and this does not interfere with the view. Any questions about elevations?
I have the trees that show up as boxes in my elevation, not sure. They just show as boxes.
Then hide them. You won't lose points for not showing vegetation.
This can't be fixed.
It's probably the type of tree you're using. You can find other trees that are not boxy, or just hide the trees. Speaking of trees, sometimes the trees are cropped in a way where you just see a random line that's half cropped. If it looks weird, hide it. Okay? You won't lose points for not showing vegetation. بس you will lose points if there's a random line وبعدين مختفي وما نعرف هذا شنو أول ولا شنو آخر. Okay, section. I think I already covered a lot of things in the section, but I did change a couple of things. Something already changed here, and I'm going to change something else قدامكم الحين. أول شيء, just to note, we are not cutting through the footings. The footings, we are not cutting through them in section. So, that should then appear different in two ways. أول شيء, this line is hidden, and I'm not cutting the footing. With this hatch needs to be different than this hatch. This I'm cutting through the floor, so I'm seeing a normal concrete hatch that's black. This I'm not cutting through it. You notice how it's lighter gray? Okay? فلازم نغير هذا. Hey, the other thing, this is a little bit too heavy, the topo solid. So I want to change it and make it lighter. So here I'm gonna override graphics in view by element. But this time I'm changing the cut pattern. Like the one when we talked about that over side plan. I'm changing the cut pattern foreground. Color is not by material. I change it and I make it light. Let's try a couple of things. So if I say 150. سخفت الجراي على التوبو solid. الحين I can clearly see my footings, that they're hidden and it's darker lines compared to my hatch. Another thing is في وايد خطوط في الhatch. The mask مال text is not enough. That's there by default. So to fix that, you add your own masks here. هي مثلا هذا الطبيعي. It's not enough. في خطوط في a lot of interference, so I added a larger mask here. Here I added also another mask, but even this I think is not big enough. I can make it larger. So that's an additional mask to the mask that's there for the text.
Quick question, is the footing lightweight thinner or thicker than the topo solid?
It's a thin line.
No, the hatch.
The hatch is thicker. It's about the same.
Same? Okay.
Maybe a little thicker. This one is concrete cut light. I think it's already in your hatch.
Oh, light?
Concrete cut light. وبعدين you'll notice when you edit boundary هتلاقين in the line style of the filled region,
Is it?
the line style is hidden. That's why it's dashed. Okay? Very serious. أقول serious mood ولا شنو؟
لا ليش؟
Okay. Any questions about this section? Note the stone with the concrete above the windows, the concrete here, stone above and below the windows with the concrete here, tags not too far. Some of you have the tags out here, don't keep them far, keep them close. Another thing I changed is this. I made it lighter on dark when I did the original example. خففت and again, if you widen full, I want to show it lighter back. في mask هني مغطي what's behind here, so you don't see the railing above the ceiling. So there's a mask covering it. Those elements here, the rods, have a mask covering the lines behind them, so the lines are not cutting through them. Several of you did not cut through your cabinets, okay? Section cabinets have to be cut, mashruf by default as is. And you put a stone top the counter here and here, and the stone top فوق الطوفة. هذه الطوفة is probably line weight is too heavy. So how can I fix this line weight in here? What's an easy fix?
Override graphics.
That's one way. What's an even easier way? Under modify, what can I do? Line work. In here, you can change it to, it's already medium, so you can change it to thin, and if you want it full. When we have many lines together, we can make them lighter, and this would read better. Okay? So whenever you have very dark lines, and in this, there's another line overlapping this line. So try to find which one is heavier, and you can make it lighter. Here, this is a heavier line than this line. We're cutting through the duct, not the exhaust, but then we're seeing the duct in elevation here. But there has to be a difference in line weight. إنزين كم واحد هني البروفايل مال السيلينج شكله غير البروفايل مال السيلينج هني. This is square 200 by 200. لما سويت tutorial يوم in class it was rectangular. So some of you kept the rectangular here, حطيته square بالdetail. I don't care if it's square or rectangular. المهم they're the same. And I can look at those profiles. There are multiple types and sizes of stool. الفكرة إن we just want them to be consistent. اللي حاطينه هني we're zooming in to the same profile, to the same sizes, so it should match. زين شنو في بالليجند مال السكشن يختلف عن الليجند مال الفلور بلان. And some of you just copied what's there.
Diffuser supply.
ما اسمه.
Diffuser supply.
That's extra. شنو كان موجود بالبلان الحين مو موجود بالسكشن.
Drain.
Floor drain. Okay, if you go back to your floor plan راح تشوفون هذيلا نفسهم وبعدين هذيلا نفسهم بس in between there's floor drain. Make sure to take it out from the legend when you put it in the section. It's a new legend وشيل floor drain. Okay, again masks, check your masks, all of your tags. كم واحد من الحين عنده بالsection after doing your ceiling plans مكتوب reflected ceiling plan بالlevel where it says ground floor الحين مكتوب ground floor reflected ceiling plan. If you do, fix it in any vertical view, section plan, section elevation, whatever. Change corresponding views everywhere وبعدين تقدرون تعدلونها بالceiling plan without updating it back again. لأن لما تغيرون التايتل بالceiling plan, it asks you, do you want to change, update corresponding views? When you say yes, راح يغير الليفل. So you want to say no. Okay. Any questions about the section?
Two questions.
Yes.
What
Give me a
are
maximum
the
to حق
yeah.
Okay.
What are the line weights for the stairs?
Stairs, I think I did it. 128, 128, 128. Projection line.
Do we just do the graphic display for each?
This one I did override for this one. Override graphic display options when I selected the rating, this and this. And I did it 128, 128, which is the default grade.
حتى rating.
8. One of the rating comment and stairs. Like,
Why can't we just do the graphic display from the properties? For
VG?
each? No, from the properties tab, the graphics display, and then we select the depth. Can't we just do that for each level instead of changing all the line weights?
Like we did with elevation. You could try that. One thing it does is it changes it to a raster image. It's get pixelated. Now that's fine with elevation. And I printed the example that I did. It looks fine. It may, it's a choice. You can again do the same thing in different ways. But that's one way. Any questions with this section? Okay. Lastly, wall section. Again, content of the wall and the details are not required. All you need to do, أول شيء عندنا draft هني. كلمة draft. The placement of them in this way. ما في يكون margin copy between the text and the drawing. You add a match line. يعني الخط with كلمة match line, which shows up here and here at نص slab. Make sure you have enough spacing between this and this, the levels and the drawing. Some of you have your top of footing, bottom footing missing. So try to find out why. It might be on the other side, hidden, raised, try to find it. Top of footing, bottom footing. Sometimes it's missing in some of your drawings. The two levels هذيلا are sometimes missing. How many of you have furniture showing in your wall section? Furniture, stairs, back brick wall. Okay, so far clip offset, that's the solution. Far clip offset, change it to 100, everything goes away. You remove everything that's behind. That disappears when you apply far clip offset. فما نشوف الدرج لأنك عم نركز بس على الطوفة. ما قاعد نشوف, we don't care about what's behind. Ceiling plans, you have these examples here. Just note where the AC is, above final finish, 2,500, 3,000 عشان نعرف في فرق بين lower higher where it happens. Exhaust fan in the kitchen. Check the labels. بين شنو؟ مو الحين لا بعد المتر. Check the labels. Dimensions, لا تكثرون من dimensions. Bottom of stair. Don't forget your north arrow. The label is 102.c, 103.c. Like the ground will first. Now when you do the order, by default, where is Revit going to put them? Right? Last one. So if I uncheck 2D and 3D, this is the order Revit was going to put them. 102 راح يصير تحته 102C. يعني بطالع ground floor بعدين اللي بعده ground floor reflected ceiling بعدين first floor بعدين ceiling. That's not how we want it to do the order. So you have to change the order, edit print order when you export. You click and drag. So 102.c you click and drag it بعد آخر floor plan. So تحته فوق. 103.c comes under it. Okay? So when you export, you have to get this order. 102, 101, 102, all the way till 104. خلصنا الروف بعدين ندش بالceiling plans. سوينا ceiling ground first بعدين ندش بال 200 بعدين 300 بعدين 400. Follow this order when you export and when you print and when you bind. Should be in this order. Okay? First floor, just note the placement where the exhaust fans, فوق shower, فوق toilet. The detail هني اخذوه من section. Ignore this middle one. You don't need to add this one, you add it back to the midterm. That's the curtain detail. هذا كان مو محطوط قبل. So add the one you have in the section. Light with shadow gap. The furniture is hidden lines gray. Don't forget the labels, HAL, HAC, حق الكرتن. Curtain, you'll notice here, from the edge of the window, 200 مللي. 20 سنتي, so the curtain can have enough space to be on the side.
شلون تبين بس الويندو
You have to check your view range. Cut plane by default is 2300. يصير شكله كذي. That's what you start with, صح؟ ما نشوف الدراج ولا البيبان. So go to under extents on the left side, view range, cut plane, غيره to 1300. That way you get to see you're cutting through the doors and the windows.
Cut plane
1300. And then you will see by default, the door swing is there.
في واحدة still nothing.
Then check your heights of your windows and get the right height for that. So this is what happens when by default you have the swing and you have the panel. You have to turn those off under visibility graphics. So VG, look for door, turn off the panel. This will remove the panel of the door. Search swing, and turn off the plan swing mounted doors and the windows. That will make the swing disappear. الحين here Revit is a bit funky with the line weights. مكان الpanel is still going to be there. You will get some weird line weights, so just draw over them. This is a detail line, thin line just covers over those gaps. So find if you see any gaps, you can draw over. طبعا to get the placement right, you can go to underlay, حطوا first floor. راح يبين كل شيء تحت, you trace over them, وبعدين remove the underlay. Any questions with the ceilings? Yes. Hey, so when you do by default, I say multiple lines, صح? Go to families, under annotation symbols, go down to M view title, where it says plus, not the minus, اللي تحت, and not the subcategory, the parent category. Right click, edit, and then this view name, كبره, to fit the full text. And then load back into project. You might do it a couple of times, and can even take it long enough يصير سطرين بدل ثلاثة, بعدين make it wide enough. Yes, that's exactly, if you see that your titles are too big, don't make it too small, it needs to be appropriate to the A3 size. If the title مديكم بالsize, this is where to change it and make a smaller title. You can do the same thing with the levels. You can make your level callouts, tags could be smaller. This is how to change it. So here you can select this tag label, الحين هو 6mm في 4. بس الحين view scale out. 4 is too big, so you might have to then edit type, duplicate. You can do مثلا 2mm and change here to 2. الحين هذا صار half the size مثلا of that, and then test it. This الحين maybe the number is too big, so you make that small, and it's a bit of work, بس يعني it's doable.
So we changed the text size in one sheet, so I have to change it for all.
This changes it for the whole sheet, the whole project. So just be careful what you're changing, or save it as a new type, and then you can pick which one you're using. And then, that's it. الحين a couple of things. I'm going to be around for the next 45 minutes, 1 hour. Also, if anybody needs to be around to go over their work. Otherwise, I want you to take a look at your section that's marked up, not graded. Take a picture so that you can work on it for until next class. And then next class, we'll do a couple of things. We'll continue working on some of your comments, but also I want to do some work with the wet areas. Just a simple walk through the wet areas, which is not for the midterm, but I want that to start moving as well. Okay? Any questions? Alright. Yes.
سيدي هو نخلي البيبان فريم ولا لا؟
ما تبين غير الفريم او نشيل البانل ونشيل السوينج. الفريم is optional.
When you rate at the first floor